I'm standing here outside the Empire, where about an hour ago 2 people were killed and another severely injured whilst waiting in line outside the busy nightclub. The alleged perpetrator was shot dead by police officers on the scene. The identities of those involved are yet to be released by authorities. Police are...
So 3 years on, watching that, does it still affect you? How does it make you feel?
Obviously there is... No. Obviously there's like a part of me that believes it because, you know, it happened, but no, there'll always be that other part that doesn't, because I didn't think that he would be able to do that. So watching that, I guess it takes me that little bit further away from my I guess it's a reminder that he wasn't who I thought he was.
The media freaked me out big time. surrounding it. It was traumatizing. It was ridiculous, the amount of people that were. It was quite harassing, and I think they wanted something out of me, information, and I just didn't have anything to give them. I thought long and hard about moving after the incident, because it was quite difficult to, especially when his things were still here. I just didn't know what to do. I sort of just shut the door and left it. I guess, well, moving forward, just something you have to do, but what has he taught me? It's not... that you can't really ever trust anyone, which is not something you really want to be taught in life, but I think that's what I've learnt. I don't really think there is anything that makes it easier. You just have to get through it, and then I don't think there's any advice that can really help. He was quite quiet, I guess, but I mean, he was polite, and like when I had people around, he was a pretty cool guy, I guess. Like, everyone liked him.
He was a really nice guy. He was perfect. He ticked all the boxes. He was nice, he was kind, he was caring, he looked after me, he supported me. He was clean, he was like everything you want in a guy that you want to settle down with.
Like, when we did hang out, we'd watch a movie and stuff, and it was fine, and just sometimes I'd help him actually with his filming the videos that he put on the internet.
Nice lad, yeah. I mean, he was a good worker. He never had any trouble with him.
We basically only ever saw each other at work, so I guess just he was good at what he did. He was charismatic, always joked around, big smile, friendly.
He was always on time, always looking for extra shifts. Good with customers, good with other workmates.
He was a cool guy, like, that's what I would say, and that's what other people would say about him.
He was reliable, and for me, that was the main thing. You want, if you got someone working for you, you want to know that you can count on them, and that was him.
Hello, my name's Aaron Matthews.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, Aaron. Sorry, your name? I'm very trustworthy, dependable. I'm a good people person. Hi. My name's Aaron. I am highly skilled. My name is Aaron, but the tribe call me Water Turtle. I volunteer community service because my exterior is tough, but my inside is soft. I like to think that I'm the man for this job.
But, the Aaron that I knew was sort of a very shy, not so much shy, just a very quiet. He'd talk about a lot of personal stuff, so I'm not sure if that defines someone as shy, but a much deeper person. But then I discovered this sort of deep person that I thought I knew just through how people were commenting, like, on his Facebook wall, and just when I saw him out with like other people, there was very much this social butterfly aspect to him, which I feel was a facade. I'm sure if you talk to other people, then they'll say that, oh no, that sort of deep Aaron was not really him.
Oh, just trying to work out, trying to get a bit of Aaron back, after, now that I'm by myself. I used to know what I wanted, what I liked, what I disliked. And I tell you, right now it feels all over the place, just like a total scrambled mess. I'll think of a few things to do or that I want to do, and then realise that's that's what she would have wanted to do. I don't have to do that anymore. I can follow my own way.
It affected me a lot, actually. I was definitely in shock for a while after. I don't know, I guess I didn't really know how to deal with it. I mean, how do you deal with it? And so my parents, they made me see a therapist, and I think that really helped, just being able to talk about it and I guess come to terms with what happened. Yeah, angry with myself for not doing anything, and I don't know if I could have done anything or if I would have just been putting myself in danger. But yeah, I feel like I should have done something. Everyone just kind of stood around and I kind of think that we could have helped. We could have saved someone. Now, like all these years later, like I have dealt with it and I can live with it, and I mean it's always going to be there, but I don't know, it's always going to be there, but I think I'm good now.
Aaron and I met back in year 7. We were young, and I didn't have many friends at school until Aaron, so we're best friends, really.
I guess I didn't really know Aaron that well. Like, I lived with him for a year, but he worked during the nights and I worked during the days, so we seemed to miss each other, but I thought at the time that I knew him relatively well, but looking back, I can't say that I actually know that much about him.
I knew him a bit, I mean, I didn't know... Personally, I knew a few things that were going on in his life, but I wouldn't say that we'd have a drink after work or anything like that.
Aaron and I had always been close, but after our parents died, we definitely got closer. I know it was weird because he moved out, so you'd think that it wouldn't happen, but I felt closer to him, yeah.
We were together for 3 years. We lived together for 2 years. Like, it was a massive part of my life, and I was a massive part of his life. We knew each other really well. I probably haven't known anyone as well as him since.
Yeah, being best friends for many years, you start to know things about the other person that I guess nobody else knows.
I think everyone knew him through his videos.
Hi, welcome to Aaron Matthews Book Club, where we discuss all things books. Today, whilst eating some very expensive cheddar and Pinot Noir, we will also be discussing this month's book, Girls' Issues and Why They Decide to Tell Us. As you can see, it's not too big. And I finished it quite quickly.
Yeah, look, I guess you do start to, reassess yourself. I certainly thought that, maybe I'm a completely crap judge of people. I thought he was the last person in the world who would do this, and yet he did. So what does that say about me? And I mean, not that it affected me directly. You know, I didn't lose out in any way from this, but I don't know. You just start to be a little paranoid, trust a little less easily, things like that. I couldn't, you know, it took me days before things felt normal, I guess. No. I don't, nothing that I can come up with.
When I was first getting to know Aaron, you can sense that there was a lot of things that he wanted to say that he wasn't saying. So I gave him the idea, I guess, not necessarily to do something directly to camera, but I thought that he needed a way to he needed some sort of release, basically.
Look, I think it was around the time when his parents died. Yeah. So when his parents died, he was cut up. But one thing about Aaron is he didn't know how to show that. He still, you know, until he died, he didn't know how to show his anger, his emotions. And so I think his videos were his sort of debrief from life.
He had found a way. He'd found a way to talk, I guess. I know we were both pretty closed off when it came to expressing stuff, and he'd found a way to do that.
When he started making the videos, I think I saw it in a different light because I knew sort of it was coming from a deeper place rather than just wanting to be a YouTube star, internet star, whatever.
Yeah, they got views and lots of people watch them, so that's cool, but it was never really about that for Aaron. I mean, of course, like any person, if your videos are going to start doing well, he played up to it, you know, made his videos funnier and funnier and pretty much boosted his personality.
But yeah, I thought that it was a great release to have, and especially the funny ones that he did sort of really helped him come out of his shell. And I think the more, what's the word? I say the deeper videos were a good way for him to let go of a lot of angst that he had. You know, we all choose to talk with people. Some of us talk with like friends and family. He'd had a bit of trouble there, so he chose to talk to the world, kind of, on the internet.
Funny thing happened yesterday. Oh no, today. I was doing some shopping in town, and this person comes up and goes, "Oi, you're Aaron Matthews." And I was like, "What?" I'd never seen him before in my life. And yeah, they watched my channel. I couldn't believe it. Just some random on the street. And it got me thinking, like, I suppose, you know, if I'm going to keep doing this is what happens, like, and it, you know, it may get bigger. It's funny. Yeah, I found it funny.
So how I came about Aaron's videos? Well, I'm a uni student, so I'll try anything to avoid work.
Yeah, I didn't know him before. I'd never seen his videos or whatever it was. I mean, I watched them afterwards because I guess I wanted to know more about him, and yeah, he just seemed normal.
Well, he was obviously quite a deep thinker, I think.
I used to really enjoy them. I found them quite funny and had an interesting way at looking at things, and like, sometimes I'd get out there and film things with him, and we had a really good time when we did.
when I entered his blog, there was just a stream of videos, and that's how I came about them. Like, I watched the first one, just curious to see who this guy was, and it was amazing to see who he was and what he did, and the way he portrayed his videos, the way he portrayed himself.
I thought they were kind of stupid. I have absolutely no idea why so many people watched them.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I had a bit of a peak, like probably half of Hobart, after it all happened, and we got so much of it in the media, on the news and in the paper about his videos online, so I had a look just to see what it was all about.
He got a bit obsessed with them after a while. Like, he'd just be posting them. I guess the views that he got on YouTube would like spur that on, and like he mentioned me in a couple of them, and after we broke up, that's the only thing I spoke to him about. I wanted him to take those ones down, because like that's not something that I want to be. I didn't ask to be in them. Like, that's not something that he can really do without my permission, and I thought that was my right to, ask him to take them down.
I never actually watched them when we were working together or together. I didn't really think much of them. It's not really my kind of thing, but
obviously I have gone through a lot of torment through this, and I guess I wanted some closure, some type of, I guess that's the word, closure, to have some peace from this ordeal. And I looked at it a couple of times, but to be honest, I couldn't look at his face, and I couldn't watch them.
I finally realised that I just wanted to see his face, and I wanted to just see whether there was anything I could pick up on that would explain something to me, explain anything to me, and just tell me whether this guy was in fact just a normal everyday guy. So I watched them, and I think it was the biggest shock of all, because he just seemed so happy.
It was just totally bizarre. So I didn't really watch much, because it was too difficult.
But I know you've probably seen him. It's just a kid, talking about stuff.
No, I watch them a lot. I feel like he's still here, still that brother, rather than the one in the papers.
I remember sort of after Mum and Dad died, and she moved in with the grandparents, and she started copping a lot of flack from some kids at school about living with your grandparents. How stupid is that? And this one time when I was dropping her off, they were on the street and they started yelling out, and I stepped in because I just got so angry straight away. But the thing that she doesn't realise is, I didn't need to. She's got a tough skin on her. Sometimes I think maybe it's unfortunate that she has to have that, but she's a strong girl.
It's funny. It's still, in a way, it still hasn't. It's really hard when I didn't see him that frequently, and it's weird when someone's not a constant in your life. It's once they've been pulled out of it, it's very hard to kind of it's very hard to accept, because all that I heard was just stories from other people. I wasn't there to experience it firsthand. I think we can look at that result as something that occurred because of a lack of what we did, not as something that was lurking within him. It's very hard to not feel some sort of responsibility for what happened, because you think, you know, what if I was there that night? Maybe things would have gone differently. Maybe we could have helped him. Maybe we would have kept him in a happier place.
Well, Sara was with Aaron for about 3 years, and I don't know, when they were together she was great. She was my big sister, I guess, and I always thought that they'd get married. I know I felt really open with her and I could talk to her about stuff. And then when the accident occurred, I don't know, she just left. Didn't, I don't know, she just went, and I don't know, Aaron never told me why, and she didn't say anything to me. She just cut off contact.
I guess I didn't want to settle down, and because he was my first boyfriend, that was all I knew. And I was like, well, what don't I know? What am I missing out on? Like, yeah. I guess his niceness became a little bit too nice in the end. I got bored. It was just the same old. We never argued, we never fought. There was nothing exciting about our relationship. And yeah, I just got bored with it.
When they met, they kind of, you know, he was excited. He was so excited. Like, I think it was the first time he ever felt alive, really, with her. And so he was head over heels.
I was excited. I hadn't had that much attention from boys prior to him, and he seemed like this, like, bad guy working in a grungy bar. Like, that was attractive to me. So, waited till he finished work. I was there for the knockoff drinks. Then we went out for a couple more drinks after that. Caught up a bit more over the next few weeks. He was this really exciting guy. And yeah, we got together.
And they were going fine. I'm pretty sure they were going fine, you know. Then his parents died after about a year or two into it. And he took it pretty hard, I think.
It was really hard. I didn't really know what to do. I haven't dealt with anything like that myself. So yeah, it was awful. He wouldn't really talk about it, and me, as I felt like I was the closest person in his life, I was like, if you're going to talk to someone, you need to talk to me. And he wouldn't talk to me, so I was like, he's not getting any outlet for this. Because
during this relationship, you know, I think he sort of looked at Sara as his best friend, you know, and partner. And so the calls to me was a little bit less frequent, you know, as soon as I moved to Melbourne. But when his parents died, he didn't confide in her, he confided in me, which I think really pissed her off.
Probably. Like, it's not something that I've consciously thought, yeah, that's what did it, but I guess in a subconscious way that sort of made me feel a bit detached from him.
And so he and her, I think she probably slept around or something. I don't know if she actually did that, but that's what Aaron said. Nonetheless, it ended.
When Sara left, he was devastated. She was the love of his life.
Yeah, I loved him. I suppose I fell out of love with him. I loved him head over heels for the first year or so of our relationship, but then things just got repetitive, and I guess the spark wasn't there for me. It was for him. I could see that, and that made me feel really bad, but I just didn't feel the same way in the end. So
yeah, Aaron loved her. Aaron No, she was always the one.
So I don't have Sarah in my life anymore. She doesn't think she can be with me after what she's done, is what she said. That's nice. She said she slept with someone. Oh, I feel sick. Oh, fuck, I can't. I don't understand. I don't get it. It was so shit for a while there, and then like I really started working on opening up to her, and like this stupid fucking camera, and then just out of nowhere this happens. No, I wouldn't tell the boys this, but I would picture us, what do they say, getting old together, which after the crash, you know, like, wasn't a great thing to think about, but sometimes it was all I had was Sarah and me, you know, because I had her. I just realised that I had her, and now I don't.
It was pretty rough when it first happened, because there were people saying that, you know, because I broke up with him, because I did this and that, like, I set him off the rails. Like, that's... I'm not really comfortable with that. That's not... I mean, I was happy to keep in contact with him, and he... Like, I might have done the wrong thing, but it's not my fault. Like, that's not fair. Look, if I'd had more contact with Aaron after we broke up, I would have been more comfortable with the scrutiny, because I would have felt like I actually had an involvement with it. But we hadn't spoken for a year, and they're still knocking on my door and asking me what I knew. I didn't know anything. I don't want my name in the paper for something that I haven't had anything to do with for 12 months. I guess to me it makes not much of a difference. We weren't speaking anyway, so...
No, there's nothing. He was so gentle. I mean, I felt safe around him.
No? Watching him through his videos, he's never come off as violent.
Like I said, he was just a nice guy. He was never violent.
You know, I've had people work for me before, tending bar and what have you, who, whenever, you know, someone had a few and started to, you know, try and be a hero, they would respond. They'd try and shut it down themselves. Aaron was never like that.
He just, like, he'd get shit at the bar, like people would give him shit, but he'd never get upped up about it. He'd just brush it off, and yeah, not a violent guy at all.
Yeah, he just wasn't like that. He just wasn't violent. You know, it just didn't seem to be his nature, I guess.
Look, Aaron sort of avoided confrontation most of the time.
I sense a lot more hatred towards himself than towards anyone else.
There was nothing that I noticed that would say that's what he was going to do.
I would have expected him to hurt himself before he hurt anyone else.
I often try and look back and think whether there were signs or things that I missed, or little things that could have, I don't know, could have possibly, so that I could possibly have predicted what would have happened, but there wasn't. He was quite a calm guy.
But, you know, some people keep things very, very private. I thought I knew a more private side of him, but I guess he had even deeper things going on underneath the surface.
Well, we've had a few fights at work before, but nothing this, nothing this violent, this sort of, what's the word, malicious, you know, malicious, gratuitous violence, you know, it's just out of nowhere. And the guy ended up having to go to hospital. He's what do they call it, king hit. And I didn't think it'd shock me as much as I thought it would, but it did. It stuck with me, and it's still with me. Like I can't get it out of my head. You know, why someone would do it to someone else. And I'm no peace warrior. You know, I think the world would be a pretty bloody boring place if we all got on 100%. But I can't understand just what went into it that much for that to happen.
Like, my teachers and my friends seemed to care for about a week, but it was like they only cared because they were told to care. Like, their dad isn't dead. Like, so how would they know? Everyone else always bags out their parents and says, oh, you know, my dad made me do this, my dad's making me do this, my dad's making me go to some football game on the weekend and I don't want to. And I'm just like, you don't even realise what you have. You don't know how much I would love to have that. For about 2 seconds, people cared about who was affected by it, but straight after it just moved on to, oh, let's discuss how we can make Hobart a safer place. What should we do about people going out, and how do we make bouncers safer, and, you know, going on to people like that, like taxi drivers, how do we make them safer? But what about the victims? No one cares about them anymore. Everyone forgot about that when the next thing came up, didn't they? 3 years later, maybe they'll care about it now.
I was at work, didn't really think anything of it. As I was leaving work, I saw, you know, cop cars, ambulances at that bar. I just assumed it was another bar brawl.
I'd been at a mate's house and I'd heard vaguely about it on the radio coming home, and you think, well, shit, that's pretty major to have happened in Hobart.
You know, it was a long night. I remember I couldn't go to bed. I couldn't switch off, I guess, because I was just thinking. I was trying to get it straight in my head.
And when I got home, there was police cars and everything, and I didn't really relate the two until I got inside, and then the police were there, and that was hard.
I mean, the first thing that came into my head was, what have I done, or what has my friends done? You know, like, what have they done now? But then they told me what happened.
The next morning, I think, I found out about it via, you know, various Facebook updates. It's the newspaper of today.
There were rumours flying about. Aaron's name was mentioned in a couple of them, but I didn't really want to take any notice of the rumours until I actually knew what had happened. My phone was ringing off the hook. My girlfriend's wondering if I was alright.
I was scheduled to get on a flight to Hobart to come and visit Aaron, and, you know, obviously everyone around here. You know, I saw the news, and it made news in Melbourne as well.
And Aaron's photo flashed up on the TV. At first I thought, oh God, has he been one of the people that had been killed? Or
And then I kept watching it, and they said that Aaron was the killer.
No one would tell me what was going on, but the first thing that I heard was that Aaron had murdered those people, and I was told all about what he did, but the last thing that I was told was that he died. And I thought someone would have told me that sooner.
I don't know what to do because I can just see it's just heading straight for a cliff, and I can't stop it. I'm trying so hard right now, but I can't stop it. I've just got to let it happen, you know.
In all honesty, I don't think the grief has really faded that much since then. I thought it would, and I hoped it would, but you know, I haven't been out since then. Like, I can't be out. I can't go out at all like that. It just it reminds me too much of what happened, and I can't really bear with it. Can't deal with that. I'm definitely doing better than I was. The fact that I've got the majority of my movement back and my ability to look after myself is fantastic. But at the same time, I don't think that the absence of Nathan is going to get any easier anytime soon. He made things easy, and regardless of my injury or, you know, having to rely on my mum, the thing that has always been the standout problem has been Nathan being gone. It was Nathan's 24th birthday, and we decided that we'd get a couple of friends and go out for a couple of drinks. And
the night it happened, I was just at home. I wasn't really doing anything. I didn't really feel like going anywhere or doing anything or seeing anybody.
Then we went out dancing, and it was just so lovely.
Then my friends were calling me and just telling me to come out, so I decided to go.
And then we moved to this next venue, and it was really early in the morning, so I wasn't sure if we'd get in or not, but we managed to jump the queue.
I just walked from home and I was walking towards the club, and there was like a huge line out the front waiting to get in, and I was just texting my friend because they were already inside, and then I was just across the street, and then I saw it and it started to happen.
We were standing in line. I was talking to a couple of girlfriends, and we were all quite drunk.
He approached a guy who was staying there in line with a girl, and they were just like talking, I don't know, and then, I don't know, he grabbed him or something.
And then this feeling shot through my back. It was just this pain. And I'm remembering my leg just lost all feeling, and I couldn't stay standing, and so I fell into the ground in so much pain.
I saw him, and he pulled out a knife, and he just stabbed this guy, and he was still kind of like fighting, like trying to protect himself, and the knife kind of got knocked and it slashed the girl next to him.
And then I started hearing all this noise around me and screaming, and I just kind of thought that it was because I'd been hurt, but I looked up and Nathan was there with this random bloke who was wielding some knife. And he just kept hitting him with the knife and stabbing him in the stomach.
And then the guy that was stabbed, he kind of fell down as well.
Kept screaming to stop.
Then the guy, he would sort of turn to run away.
And I couldn't reach him because he was lying a couple metres away.
The bouncer guy, he came out and he was trying to like wrestle the knife out of his hand or something. He was trying to stop him, but then he got stabbed as well.
I don't want not happen next at all.
Yeah, it was just a normal night. I don't know, all of a sudden a few people started running in the door screaming, and first I thought, oh, it's just like night ruckus, but I looked over and they were really freaking scared.
I was around the corner of the busy nightclub when I had heard the screams. I was on patrol with my partner Ben, Constable Ben, and we proceeded to run around the corner and witnessed 2 men dead, 1 man holding a knife, a female critically injured.
And then the policeman came like really quickly. It was all kind of just all happened at once, and a policeman came out. It was a woman, and she was pointing a gun at the guy.
I pulled my gun from my holster while Ben proceeded to call for backup and get ambulance assistance. I had my gun pointed at the young civilian and proceeded to request that he lower his weapon and disarm himself through failed attempts.
And he was just kind of standing there, just holding his knife, and she yelled at him. She said, "Drop your knife." And
he stared me down, very calm and collected. And I knew he wasn't going to stop until he was stopped.
And then he turned, and I don't know if it was to run away or if it was to, hurt someone else, or I don't know.
So he turned to another gentleman, and in that split moment, shot him dead.
Then my manager turned on all the lights, music stopped, and the police started escorting everyone out through the back. I had no idea what was going on at this point. Obviously something had happened out the front, and they were escorting us out through the back. As we were heading out near where the front of the bar was outside, you could see just police cars everywhere. There was an ambulance, lights flashing, people were crying. I couldn't see what was happening. I couldn't see anyone. I had no idea who had been involved. Basically, we were just all told to go home. So I went home. taken a long time to move forward, for obvious reasons. The memories of him working with me and how normal I thought he was, and then remembering everything that happened and the whole night, I just, no, I don't work there anymore. I think there was a small thought that before I found out any of this had happened, obviously, that I would maybe keep it. I don't know, I had this thought in my head that maybe it was meant to be that I got pregnant, and maybe this was meant to push me towards him more or something. I don't know. But it wasn't meant to be, so yeah. Especially knowing that they were made from a killer or made from somebody like that. How am I supposed to help? It just seemed like the best thing to do, I guess.
I don't know why he did it. Look, why does anyone kill someone?
I don't know. I can't answer that question because I'm not him. I guess I don't know what was going through his mind.
I have absolutely no idea.
I don't know. It was such a shock.
I hadn't seen him for quite a few months before this happened.
I'd never seen him before up until that moment, and I don't even know whether Nathan knew him.
Look, I only know Aaron, so I don't know this other guy, this guy that was killed.
To me, there must have been at least some sort of trigger, or he was on drugs. I know that the tox report says that he was clean, but maybe it was something that they couldn't detect. I don't know, because
I can't believe Aaron would carry a knife with him. So I'm just going to... I've drawn my own sort of conclusions that, you know, that had some sort of stupid argument in the line and that the knife was the other guy's and Aaron's got it off him somehow.
And it just makes you wonder if Nathan did anything to start that, or if he'd done something in the past.
I don't know how much of a threat certainly the other guy was. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what happened, but from what I know of Aaron, I don't think it could happen any other way.
Either that or he just changed a hell of a lot over the course of that year. Like, he wouldn't speak to me, so I don't know what he was like after that.
Yep. I've decided that from now on, I'm just gonna do it. If I'm worried about something, I'm just gonna do it. So here I go.
I think it makes a lot of people feel better to say something like a fight happened and things got out of control. But the thing is, I think he definitely had a purpose.
I don't know if he knew the guy that he stabbed at the start, but well, I mean, they were talking kind of like they knew. And the girl that he stabbed, that it looked like an accident.
I think he knew he was going to do something. I don't think he knew I don't think he planned anything like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this and this, and this is how it's going to end.
It didn't look deliberate. It didn't look like he was, going to kill everyone there. It just kind of happened.
I'm not going to try and dissect it because I can't. I can't fully understand it. So I'm not going to try to.
And afterwards, when the bouncer was kind of on the ground and he was standing there, I could sort of see in his face, and it was almost like a shock. Like he almost looked scared.
You know, he would get into sort of very dark tunnel vision, and if nothing breaks that tunnel, then you get very focused on an action that you may have had planned, and I think that's what happened that night. But you know, who knows?
He said, "That doesn't make sense." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, you know, sometimes people do things without a reason. You know, just a baseless action or whatnot." I said, "Yeah, no. The person might not even know it, but whatever they do, there's a reason, or there's an intention or a cause behind it, whether it's conscious or not." This drew in a few remarks from customers at the bar. Yeah, I thought it was a good one. You know, whether we do sometimes just act without impulse, and is there still a reason behind it or not? Anyway, I like to think so.
I don't think it's fair that Aaron is labelled by the last act that he did in his life, because throughout his life he did amazing things, and he inspired people like me, and he made a difference in my life to view the world differently. He's a real person, and to make up a person, it's subjective to all their life experiences, and to be justified but just that one thing in his life is not fair. You know, he did these great things, and to assume that all these great things are just build-ups to this murder he did. We speak of this horrible thing that we do, but for thousands of years we've all been doing it.
In killing 2 men and then severing, no.
No. There's no justification for killing 2 people.
No human in their right mind should be at all justified in doing anything like that.
I think that was the biggest thing for me whilst lying in hospital, was just wondering how someone could do that.
How can somebody be in the right state of mind?
It's the intent. It's the intent of, you know, there's manslaughter, and it's in a court of law, it's always the individual's intent. And I feel his intent was to kill. And that was quite evident when I was on the scene, and I felt it and I saw it in his eyes. His intent was to kill.
I swear there must have been something.
I wish he'd gotten some help, or I don't know, it's just an all bizarre thing to even think about.
I don't know what happened in that year that we were apart. Like, I don't know, those guys could have made death threats on him and his little sister, for all I know. Like, that's not something that I can make a judgment call on because I don't know. But I guess there could be a justification if it's something serious like that. But
I mean, he killed people. Obviously, I don't know him, and I don't know what was going on inside his mind and his reasons, but like, to kill people, even if it was an accident or it wasn't intentional, it's still a death, and yeah, it's not okay.
If he felt that that was the only thing that he had left to do, then he should have faced up to the consequences.
Especially the fact that, like, the psychiatrists and psychologists don't believe he was mentally unwell, and I think that's the worst bit, is that he did this. It wasn't anything else.
You know, for 2 years he's just down and out. And then he gets up one day, I guess, and decides, you know, I'm going to do something for me. And he decides, you know, he's going to climb Everest.
I don't think there was any justification for what he did, but I don't think people should think that it was justified in his mind either. That's to say that I didn't think he thought what he was doing was right. I don't think people should believe that what he did he was in support of.
Who's not to say that he was provoked, or it was an accident, or it was self-defense?
I mean, they tried to find explanations on the news and everything, and it's just stupid.
And I don't think people should try to rationalise what happened or try to break it down into something that makes sense, because it doesn't make sense.
Who cares what mental disabilities you have? It's no excuse.
All of a sudden, he turns on everything he believes in and then just kills someone? I don't think that's right. People don't work like that. He didn't work like that.
You know, we have a system, well, in most places in the world, we have a system to work out what's morally right or wrong. For the small things, you know, we have like your boss or your police or your parents. Shit, that's right. But for bigger things, we have courts of law and judges and jurors. But eventually it does stop, you know, it doesn't keep going, you know, that's pretty much it. In other places where we don't really have a system, it's worked out in another way. Someone thinks you're morally wrong, they'll shoot you. But what I believe is that it doesn't matter where you are on the planet, wherever you are, planting the first flag on the moon. Even Neil Armstrong had the same thing, and that's, you know, it's where it sits with you, where something's right or wrong. Ultimately, you're, you know, the final decider.
It's funny, it's twofold. It's good and bad. I mean, there's not a day that goes past that I don't think about it. But in another sense, I'm in a better place in my life, I could say. But if I could take back that incident, I would. In a heartbeat, I would. Did I do the right thing? Did I... You know, this is... We're trained for this. We're trained to shoot to kill. That's how we're trained. But it could have gone so many different ways. I could have shot him in the shoulder. I could have, you know, shot him in the knee just to disarm him. But then I think, would that have been enough? You know, he was clearly psychotic and in an irrational state. He could have kept on killing. He could have, even injured, he could have kept on killing. So did I do the right thing? I don't know. I don't know. People say that time heals. I don't really tell you how much time it takes to heal.
What he did. If he was being attacked, I'd probably say yes.
No.
I can't forgive him personally.
That's a hard question because he hasn't wronged me. He's wronged other people. I don't think I have anything to forgive.
I think for me it's more of forgiving myself for not doing anything, for not helping when I could have.
The only bad thing that's happened to me was the shit with the media when, like, it first happened, and that's Like, I can deal with that. I'm a big girl. That's not something that I feel the need to be angry at him for. Like, if I was a family member of one of the guys he killed, God no, I wouldn't forgive him, but he hasn't done anything to me.
No, I can't. I can't.
I mean, taking away that one person in your life who you love so much and never knowing why, or, you know.
It's just, you can't justify that, I think. And that's just tragic. And that's one of the unbelievable things for me. You can sort of say that the first young guy that the trouble happened with, that could have just been self-defence. You know, the spur of the moment and a horrible thing happening, but the whole thing with the bouncer getting killed as well. I think that's probably the bit that I struggle the most with, because it just wasn't Aaron. You know.
There's no way I can get my head around it.
I can't understand it. And because of that, I can't really move on, and I can't forgive him, and I
You can try to understand as much as you can, but in the end, something like that, I don't think you can forgive.
People should be more like clouds. Clouds don't give a shit. Best thing about watching clouds is they don't stay the same. They just keep coming. Different shapes. They come and go. People get too caught up on things. People should be more like clouds.
Yeah. Yes. I forgive the Aaron that I knew for what he's done completely, because I don't think of it as the same person that did what he did. So of course I forgive him.
He didn't give me any signs. And for that I can't forgive him.
Of course I have to forgive him. It's not really an option to forgive him. It's more of something that I have to do. I can't. All the stuff that we talked about and all that we went through, I can't then not forgive him, because then what was it all for? It becomes meaningless if I don't forgive him.
As for killing everybody else, it's a horrible thought. And the best way I know how to deal with it is just putting it out of my head, you know. I can't.
It wasn't the Aaron that I knew that did that stuff. Well, it was the Aaron that I knew, but it was sort of... It was a much darker version.
If I acknowledge the people that he killed in my head, you know, I don't think I'd be able to cope.
I think forgiveness is something that you give to people that are aware of what they're doing when they know they've done something wrong.
And so for me, the best way to keep my best friend's memory intact for me is to almost put what he did into another box and just leave it there completely, because I don't think I'd...
And what he was doing, I don't think he saw as doing something wrong. I think he just saw it as something he felt like he had to do, and I don't think you can blame someone for doing something they feel like they have to do, and I don't think there's anything to be forgiven.
I don't think I'd want to honour him as I do if I were to think about it, what he actually did. And so I choose to look at it as a separate incident, as something else.
Obviously I feel terrible for the people affected, by not just who knew Aaron, but who knew the other people. And obviously there's like nothing you can say to them that'll make it better, but I think it was just a terrible thing that happened. And
it's about people, not convicts, it's about like prisoners, and as part of their rehabilitation, they're offered a chance to meet the families or the people they've affected, like the crime that were affected due to their crime, and it's sort of mediated by a counsellor or whatever the fuck. And you know, at first it got me. It really got me. I was like, wow, because some of the scenes. But it always finished too nice. Like, you know, everyone was either smiling or crying or, you know, hugging each other at the end. You know, there was no chairs through the window or, you know, big burly bodyguards having to drag the bloke or the girl to the ground because she's trying to attack the family. You know, it never ended like that. It seemed like bullshit to me. You know, no one gave me the chance to meet the bloke that fucking hit my parents. That'd be fun.
I feel betrayed. Like, everyone goes through shit, you know? Everyone gets to a low point in their life. And if you're at that low point, you'd think that the people that have been there supporting you your whole life would be able to help you through that. But you didn't even give me a chance to do that. So that's the thing with this whole incident. It's not his memory that gets worse, you know, it's hit the worst. It's the ones closest to him.
I think if Aaron was part of my family, you know, if he was my brother or something like that, I think you'd have a very hard time believing that they'd done that, but I don't think if you could forgive them. I think it would be too hard. I think you just have to let it go. It's just all too hard. You just have to let it go.
I honestly don't know. It's one of those things that you really can't judge until something's happened, because I would have said that before any of this, and before Nathan had been killed and before this man had been let loose in society, I think I would have said that I would have forgiven him.
Yeah, I'd have to. Like, you can't live out the rest of your life. Like, I'm only young. That would mean spending 60 odd years resenting someone for wronging me. I would try and forgive him. I don't think I'd ever understand why he did it, because the guy I knew wouldn't do it. And if that's the guy I knew as my brother, for my own sanity, I'd forgive him.
But I don't think it makes a difference. If whether he was my brother or my father or whatever, I don't think it makes a difference. I don't think it's still the same action. I mean, because it's still a betrayal.
You know, the consequences of what he did are just so huge. And that's the thing that I always come back to, that there are people still alive who have been just so incredibly damaged by what happened that night. So that makes it difficult.
You know, they would talk about their relatives and their family, and it seemed that the main thing was that, you know, most of them felt responsible for their family, responsible for how they brought them up or how they had related to them throughout their lives, and that was their main concern, some unfinished business before they left. It got me thinking, you know, does that, you know, the person you are, does it, you know, is that how you're perceived by everyone, or does your family and your friends and your real close ones, you know, do they sympathise and see through whatever layer you've got, you know, do you get easier points with them?
Well, it's calmed down a little now, I guess. But at the time, there was a lot of media attention. And I was being called a liar and I get why people are angry, but, you know, I feel like I can't answer questions anymore because I'm not allowed to say what I want to say, because, you know, they didn't get that that's what my brother did. It had nothing to do with me. And one day, I went to religion, and I was asked by a teacher why I was there. And when I answered, well, this is my class, she said, but you're going to hell like your brother, so there's no point. I think people have some kind of stigma that runs in the family or something, which is fun. Yeah. When people say that it was his upbringing that caused him to be like that, I know there's, most of the time, you know, I feel really defensive because we had great parents, and sometimes there's that little part that questions whether it was them, and then whether I'm capable of that.
I just don't understand. I mean, there were no signs. There was absolutely nothing to let anyone know that was going to happen.
I just want to know why what happened. What was going through his head for him to have done that? I don't know.
If I knew his motives, I think that would just clear my head so much, but I don't know anything about what happened or why it happened, and so, you know.
So I think it will always be there, you know, that question of what he did.
it's so hard because he's not here. If I could talk with him and understand his side, I think it would probably help.
I think knowing why, then you can decide whether you can justify it or whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, or if you can't justify it, at least then you know you've made the right decision, and then you can move on from that. Whereas not knowing, it's always a prize in your mind.
I don't think I'm going to share with you what it is, but you know, there's a few things I really wish I did open my ears to, and I'd found out about them. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to let you in on that one, my friends.
I mean, there's a whole range of things. I mean, before you even look at motive, you've got to look at what this person's background is. What's happened in their past? Is there a history of violence? Is there a history of drug abuse, or is there a history of alcohol abuse? Things like that. That then plays into motivation. For example, you know, drunken rage can cause something like this. Other factors could be just purely fear. A situation comes up, the person then goes into the fight and flight response. You know, either they move towards the object with aggression and act it out. That could cause extreme violence that was unpremeditated, or they'll flee. But it needs to be coupled with history, mental history. Are they stable mentally? Is there something there that could trigger that sort of response, for example? The events seem random. It seems like this wasn't premeditated. This wasn't something he set out to do that day. We'd be looking for what triggered it. What was the surrounding events that caused a flip of a switch in his mind, if you like, to actually go that far to actually take someone's life. Why would they do that? Was it the death of his parents? Was it a combination of the death of his parents and his girlfriend leaving him? Was it a feeling of alienation in the world? Was it depression? Was it post-traumatic stress disorder? Was it self-defense? Was it a combination of all these things? Or was it none of these at all, something completely different? We'll never know. Only he knows. Or maybe even he didn't know.
Maybe he just disconnected from it all and lost himself. Maybe the only way he could find himself again was by doing something so bad. So at least that he knew where the bottom was. Maybe everything after that be a step in the right direction.
You want me to put it away?
Yes.
Say bye then. Bye.
Properly.
Bye.
Wave.
See ya.
Say I love you.
I love you.
Was that really such an effort?
I love you.
There we go. I love you too.